In Fortnite Battle Royale, we always find ourselves chasing after that patented victory royale, jumping out of the battle bus time and time again. But for some strange reason, oddly enough, a lot of the times that doesn't happen. With the new update and Chapter 5 being implemented, along with all the changes and the already present challenges of getting a victory royale, I'm here to eliminate as many of those factors that keeps you from winning a victory royale consistently. Let's get into it.
So coming in at the number one spot is actually going to be warming up. Now, what do I mean by that? See, Fortnite has an amazing community full of creative minds that create maps on creative modes that will often help you get your game a lot better, a lot more loose, and a lot warmer before you actually jump into the Battle Royale mode. There's things such as aim training, edit training, all these different kinds of training that people often overlook. They just get on the game and they hop on. Now, I don't mean to be too serious here, but because you clicked on this video, you're looking to win more games, right? Well, what thing do you know that you do at a high level without ever practicing, without ever warming up, right? If you play basketball, you have practices, you stretch before the actual game. You don't just hop out there and play a game. And if you do, it's going to affect your performance. Well, you can see that in the same way when it comes to Fortnite. So, let's get into it. Okay, so first and foremost, and probably the most basic thing that we're going to have here is AR training. Now, I'll leave the link to the description, or I'll probably just put it on the screen to this creator code map to warm up. But as you can see, I'm warming up shooting these bots, these stationary bots, and I want you to pay close attention here. You can see I'm rusty, missing a few shots, but in a couple of seconds, you're going to see me start to warm up. And this is just a perfect example of what I mean. When I first got on the game, my fingers are stiff. I'm not actually moving my joystick properly. But right around here, I start to really lock in and get a feel of the aiming in Fortnite. Now, as you can see, Fortnite has an lock-on mechanism if you're playing on console, like myself, right? So when you're moving your cursor and aiming down sights with a weapon, your reticle actually slows down as you come in contact with an enemy. And I'm showing you that on the screen right now. I start off moving a little bit faster, and as soon as my reticle goes over an enemy, it slows down. The reason this practice is so efficient is because it lets you get used to exactly how this sensitivity works when you're on console. And the same goes for PC, except you just don't have any aim assist, so you're purely practicing your flicks and the control of your wrist. Now, I recommend just doing as many repetitions as you want until you feel comfortable. With the characters on the side going up and down, I suggest you either try tapping them a couple times or shooting them and tracking them as they go all the way up and all the way down, as I'm about to show you right here. See, and then go right back to the stationary targets. I think this will get your AR aim right where it needs to be so that you're not whiffing those shots. How many times, guys, have you missed and lost a game due to an AR shootout that you just did not win? Alright guys, this one here is a classic. It's going to be shotgun aim, something that we use every single game playing Fortnite, unless you're doing some kind of crazy challenge, which most of you shouldn't be doing. I suggest you start off just normally aiming down sight and tracking your opponent and shooting. This is the most basic function of a shotgun, but don't underestimate it because there are so many times where you actually need to aim down sights. Then after you get a feel of that, I suggest moving into flicks. A flick is where your cursor or your reticle initially is not on the target that you're trying to shoot, but well, it's kind of self-explanatory. You flick your way onto the target. This is doable on PC as you have a mouse and keyboard, and on console you just use your analog stick. You're going to have to get a feel for it because, as we mentioned earlier when discussing the ARs, there is a lock-on function, an aim assist function when you're on console, and that same thing also applies for your hipfire. And then after you get a feel of the hipfire and the flicks, I suggest just taking out your builds and trying to practice shots that you actually hit in games. You know, you're not just gonna have standstill targets, so get your mats out, do some builds, do some edits that you typically would find yourself doing in a solo match, duo match, trio, or even squads, and try hitting these targets. You can implement aiming down sights, and you can implement flicking, as you see in the clips before you right now. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the shotgun aim. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, next on the list is going to be your edits, right? In this clip, I just kept it really simple because it's pretty self-explanatory. I'm just doing wall edits, and as you can see, I'm doing most of them successfully on the first try, but there are a couple that I whiff and I mess up. This is a perfect example, guys. Like I said in the beginning of the video, there's a lot of matches that you lose due to simple mistakes that if you would have done anything better or done it the correct way, you most likely would have won the gunfight, resulting in at least not dying as soon as you did. I'm just showing myself editing walls in this clip, but you can do whatever you like. Walls, stairs, cones, floors. Try to keep it as specific as you. What I mean by that is, edit to your playstyle. Not everybody does super fast edits. Not everybody has high sensitivity. Practice how you play. Alright guys, and the final category that you're going to want to practice, aka warm up, before you actually head into Battle Royale is what I like to call just in-game scenarios. Now obviously this is not an actual Battle Royale, this is a practice map, but what you can do is you can do your best to simulate situations that you often find yourself in and practice. As you can see, if you ever want to play solo squads, solo duos, or solo trios, or even just those modes by themselves with a regular player count like solo, 1v1, or free-for-all, you find yourself sometimes having to make tunnels, especially in endgame. So what you can do is you can go over to the shotgun aiming section, build yourself some tunnels, and then practice your edits. You can use the tips we talked about earlier, like aiming down sights with the shotgun and also hitting flicks combined with your edits, so that when you hop into Battle Royale, it doesn't feel like you're trying out a new combination for the first time. Your fingers are actually already used to the combinations and they're well adapted, and they're ready to take on the world of Fortnite Battle Royale, because everybody knows it can get real crazy in there, real crazy. And yeah, this is the warm-up, and now it's time for the IQ portion of the video. All right, so this is the key part of the video, so to speak. These next following tips have to do with really just IQ of the game. A majority of this game comes down to IQ. I mean, just think about it. All of the sweats, all of the super editors, all of the wannabe mongrels and the wannabe clixes of the Fortnite universe, how many do you run into on a day-to-day basis when you're playing solos or when you're playing squads, duos, trios, whatever it may be? All right, awesome. Now, think about how many of these people make it to the end game. Not many, right? What does that tell you? That means you can edit as fast as you want, you can crank all the 90s you want, you can have all the high ground retakes you want. If your IQ is not there, you're gonna find yourself losing a ton of games and not being able to make it to the end game and finally see that sweet victory royale. You're gonna have to sadly just stay a creative champion. And that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to win real games. So, the very first key is positioning, okay? I know this isn't new for you guys, but positioning is absolutely crucial and essential to the game of Fortnite, whether you're playing builds or no builds. This is probably age-old advice, but never forget that high ground is key most of the time. Well, what do I mean by that? Sometimes you're going to find yourself in situations where you can't have the high ground. Let's say you're in the final zone and the circle along with the storm is rotating and it's pulling to a direction that is not the high ground. You're gonna have to find a way to position yourself in order to give yourself any kind of advantage. Now, this is where using the map comes into play. You're gonna wanna always utilize the natural things such as trees and rocks in the map. Guys, I know this may sound corny, but come endgame, guys, every single build counts, because as you know, Fortnite is no longer 1,000 mats per category of material. It's only 500, and that runs out really fast, especially if you're fighting good players. So make sure you guys are using the things that Fortnite already loads into the map to give yourself every advantage possible. Those trees, they're useful. They can take bullets for you that are not your shield and is not your health. There are some rocks in the game that are not breakable. Those are absolutely useful. A lot of people I see, and even that I fight, they just build, and they don't take any time to think about it, and they build all over these things, and then they find themselves trying to break down a tree because it's in the middle of their build. When, if they just utilize these things in the first place, they could prevent themselves from having to be in this sticky situation for absolutely no reason. Now, this is a scenario that you don't want to find yourself in, being on the low ground, but when you do, try to utilize Fortnite's natural things that they include on the map. Now, we touched on it a little bit a few seconds ago, but this next portion of the IQ tip is always have the high ground. Guys, do your best to always make sure you're maintaining at least level playing field or high ground when you're fighting your opponents. Fighting from low ground is definitely more challenging, as more often than not, the opponent above you can see more of you than you can see of them. They can use the mats that they're placing on the floor as cover and peek over them and even jump and hit you right in the head and do way more damage before you even get a chance to see their face. So try to make sure you're always on the high ground in these build fights. I know that everybody's trying to do high ground retakes and you're trying to take walls, but this is a perfect opportunity to make sure that you get the high ground. For instance, let's say in this situation like you see in front of you, when someone's trying to take your wall, use your edits to your advantage, make a hole out the side and retake the high ground. Guys, you don't have to hold the wall. A lot of people, when they're getting a wall taken from them, they just sit there and they hold R2, guys. How many times have you seen it? Or even been victim of doing it yourself? I know I have, right? When someone's taking your wall, you're just holding R2 instead of doing anything about it, hoping that you win the ping game and you actually get that wall. That's not gonna work, guys, because there's too many people with 0 ping, and what if you have high ping, right? So don't even run the risk. Do an edit that you're comfortable with, get out of your box and retake the high ground and make things 10 times easier on yourself. And honestly, that's all I have for that one, because this is an age-old trick, and if you're watching this video, you probably want to know things that are a little bit more important than keeping the high ground, because chances are you probably already know that, but it doesn't hurt to remind you. Alright, and now going into the next section of the IQ tips, guys, stop taking 50-50 fights. I know we watch the Reets of the world. I know we watch the Mongrals and the Clicks, the Ninjas, the Tifus, the Benji Fishes, the Mr. Savages, and we watch them go absolutely crazy and do like Daquan used to say, W key everybody. Guys, this is not going to work for a lot of people. Guys, the skill level that these players are at is an absolute elite level, and even sometimes they find themselves dying in silly ways that could have been avoided, and they also have people to entertain. Buddy, that's not you. At least it doesn't have to be. Guys, if an outcome of a fight, if you can't picture exactly how it's going to resolve itself, chances are that's probably not a fight that you should be taking, right? For instance, let's say you're at 75 HP and 50 shield, and you hear 2 people fighting, and you have a choice, right? You're looting in your building, or you could go over and you think, oh, I'm going to third party, and as soon as they kill one of them kills the other person, I'm going to third party and kill the last person. You go over there, turns out they got completely destroyed, the person never got touched, and now you're at a disadvantage. You're only at 75 HP and 50 shield, and the person you're fighting is at 200, along with the 50 guaranteed shield the Fortnite gives you. Guys, that's a 50-50. Matter of fact, that's probably like a 70-30 because odds are not in your favor. Guys, do your best to set yourselves up for success when you're playing Fortnite, guys. Make sure you're well looted. Make sure you have the match. Do your best to give yourself every advantage before you take a fight, and try to your best to be as close to certain that you're going to win the fight before you take it. So slow down a little bit. Stop always trying to W key and get every kill. Have some patience and be smarter with the fights that you choose to engage in, and you'll find yourself under a lot less stress. The next thing I want to talk about is managing your loadout. So, depending on where you are and what your goal is, if you're going for a lot of kills or if you're just simply playing safe for the end game, you're going to need to adjust your loadout accordingly. Now, one thing I often see is people often have to scavenge other people's dead bodies and the loot that they leave behind, or go into old abandoned locations that people have already ran through and looted and try to find bandages because they forgot to carry heals because they wanted to be an absolute artillery unit and try to be an absolute just unit, right? You got a sniper, you got a machine gun, you got a pistol, you got a shotgun, you got everything. Everything is just armor, right? Make sure, guys, you try to at least have one heal, right? So me personally, I like to carry a shotgun, an AR, some kind of shield, some kind of white heals, which is bandages or a med kit or any kind of fish or food that you can find across the map, and then a sniper in my very last slot, right? This gives me all the options so that I can attack every different scenario. Long range for the sniper, close range with the shotgun, and obviously I get the shields and the white health in case, you know, all of my shield gets wiped away. Guys, don't put yourself at a disadvantage, guys. A large lion's share of this video is teaching you and honestly just realizing the things that you really already knew in your subconscious to help you have an advantage in Fortnite. Guys, don't put yourself at a disadvantage. Make sure that you always have at least shield or a white heal in your loadout, right? Preferably both. If you can, make sure you have at least medkits or bandages or some kind of fish, right, to increase your actual HP, your health points. And then make sure you either have mini shields or chug splashes or big pots, right, in the last section. And now that I think about it, chug splashes aren't even in this new update, so scratch that. But make sure that you have some kind of shield, guys. Do not put yourself at a disadvantage. Make sure that you're kitted. Make sure that your loadout is appropriate for the end game and you're setting yourself up for getting that victory royale, guys. All right, guys. And the very last tip I have for you guys is critique yourself. A lot of the times when you die, I know that myself personally, I love to just exit and go back to the menu and ready up and start another game without thinking about it. I oftentimes just want to forget about it, right? But if you go into the creator mode and you watch the replays, guys, you can often point out the mistakes that you made yourself and you can find ways to adjust it, right? It's kind of like when you just listen to a lesson, right? If you're sitting in school, you just listen to a lesson versus taking notes, right? People say that it's proven that when you take notes and you write something down, it helps you to remember a lot better than just listening and trying to take a mental note of it, right? Think about this same kind of perspective when it comes to Fortnite. When you die or you make a mistake and you have to go back to the lobby, instead of just readying up and queuing into your next game, go back, watch the replay, save it on your Xbox, save it on your PlayStation or PC, or go into Fortnite's playback mode and watch exactly how you lost and try to locate what mistakes you made that led to you losing that outcome. Did you take a fight that was 50-50? Did you make sure you had all your heals? Did you make sure you had shield? Did you need a med kit? Did you have high ground? Did you have an opportunity to take the high ground, but you chose the mid ground? Was somebody breaking into your box and instead of escaping and regaining high ground, did you just try to hold your wall and regain the ping battle like we talked about earlier? Or did you miss an easy shotgun ADS shot? Or did you try to hit a flick and you completely whiffed it? Guys, all of these things are mistakes that we make on a day-to-day basis when playing Fortnite that keep us back and hold us from winning those victory royales like we all want. Because at the end of the day, that's the goal. That's why we play Fortnite. It's such a great game. It's a fun game. It's fantastic when you're winning. And guys, I know that that's all we want to do, including me myself, guys. Hey, I hope this helped. If you guys like this and if you gained anything from this video, I please ask that you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. In return, guys, thank you for your time. Help a brother out, and I appreciate you for watching this video. Go win some victory royales. Utilize some of these tips. If you knew these tips already, let me know down in the comment section. If I taught you anything new or I let you know something that you escaped out of your mind, let me know down below in the comment section. Until next time, God bless. Peace.